Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In today's video we're going to review the round 7 of NRL SuperCoach, and I guess starting to really live up to my name here with a score of 958 this week. Didn't even get to the 1000, which is a bit flat. So I dropped to 5,000 or so ranks. It's all not happening. Didn't get any of the head-to-heads up. So let's have a look where it all went wrong. And I guess starting at the top could be a suggestion of that. So Harry Grant actually got downgraded from what I saw this earlier today or over the weekend, down to a 31. That's easily his worst performance of the year. But everyone's allowed a bad game from time to time. Just wish they weren't all in the same week on my Supercoach team. Sony Luke at the 21. So I guess the free scoring Panthers weren't so much the case. In Newcastle, I didn't see the game. Yeah, I think really only saw the two Sunday games, or even I think the second half of the Dragons Raiders game, and then obviously the Bulldogs' effort against the Eels. So yeah, that's just further depressing. But 21. He's made a bit of cash. It's break even, still decent. He's going to have that spike game, a bit like a centre wing sort of player. We might not carry the R every week from here on in, but um, I guess he's still a viable option in your team. Front row, Payne Haas 73, so glad we got him in the team. It's exactly what we were sort of hoping for from him. Tohu 63, Tapu 57. Again, that's base for these guys, and they do have that potential for upside, so that's fine. Stefano on the bye, so really happy with the front row structure. I know it's probably the least productive position in Supercoach, and a bit of a tactical error, but I feel it's very much set and forget from here on in. So we're fine with that. Second row, so VC on Murray didn't quite pop off the way we'd hoped with a 50, but that's fine. Fafita 82 is just churning out the scores. We love Fafita. Jackson Ford with a 40, so I didn't see the Warriors game. What happened? He played 80 minutes, so maybe a few errors perhaps. Missed tackle. Yeah, a couple of errors, but I mean 11 runs is probably up there with his lowest, so yeah, not ideal. He's sort of got an up and down scoring there, so hopefully that means he's up this week. Jacob Preston, 59, so he's a solid 60, so I think he's a hold for as long as we want. And sort of the last upgrade in our center second row, or if anything, he might even belong there in the team. Jack Johns 27, so I guess that's about what we expected from him. Schuster, not sure when he's available. Hopefully this week. Could be a good little matchup against the Tigers. So we obviously went the wrong way with our captain by a few points. Nathan Cleary 86 is still solid, and we'll take that. But Nico Hines 89. So I think that's just the switch there every week. Whoever's playing probably later in the week will be the captain. We'll VC around them, I think, is going to be the plan. Dylan Brown with the 60, so that's good. That's why we got him in the side. Hopefully his price has bottomed out now. We've still got a little bit more cash to leak. That's okay. We can live with that. And Katoa 39, he's just doing his thing, slow burn. But unless there's a bottom dollar cheapie that we have to have in our forward pack or second row, I think is the only option really. Oh, we could flip one of the front rowers down. He's probably just going to stay there for the time being. And so then the centre wing. So this is probably really where it all went really pear-shaped. So Marzu, 42. We wasn't going to score 100 every week, so that's okay. But Kiraz, unfortunately, the Bulldogs' injury crisis is getting to to meme levels at the moment. Can't take a trick. So yeah, he's on the chopping block this week. He's out for at least 3 weeks. We can't have that money sitting on the bench. Nickel clock started with a 29. Again, not sure what happened there. Maybe just an off week. Yeah, he played all 80. No attacking stats, obviously. Plenty of runs, but that was literally a couple of errors and penalties. That doesn't help. So yeah, I guess he's always good for attacking stat every now and again. And then Taruva, obviously we switched him with Sloan, which was the wrong call. Sloan popped off. And Taruva, I guess there wasn't much attacking opportunity there for the Panthers. So, we probably picked the worst four options. All four on the bench went better. Even Alamotti getting over for his first try. Warbrick got a try. Khan Pereira, I'm assuming, got a try. I didn't see the Titans game. Let's have a look. Fantasy stats. 2 tries. Makes sense. All the other games where he's gone relatively big have been off the back of those. But yeah, you might have seen that his break evens at 75, so it's time for him to go too. Tommy Turbo 57. Again, we could have had almost any of these guys and done better. So he's going to leak some cash, but he's a keeper, so we're not stressed. He's still higher in value than what we got him. And I guess for the value we got him, he's doing more than enough. So in terms of trades this week, I think we need to really fix up our centre wing. So Carraz is obviously out. And then in terms of the cash outs, I think Khan Pereira is actually more important than Alamotti this week, just because he is so up and down. We can't bank on him scoring 2 tries every week. Whereas Alamotti, he's got a little bit of base about him. If the Bulldogs can stop getting injured on the wing, he might actually get some more time in the centres, which is more runs, more tackles. Well, definitely more tackles, maybe not as many runs, but just I guess that's his natural position. So if he can stay there, that would be amazing. So the targets that we've got, I think, are Lachlan Miller and Ruben Garrick. So ideally, these two would be great to bring in. As you can see, we need to find 283k, which isn't going to be possible with the third boost trade. So the next sort of best option, I think, is we'll just put Miller in because he's a bit more expensive. Oh, I'll trade out Garrett. It's having a meltdown now. And I think we sort of, again, have to swallow our pride a bit and bring back the hammer. It was obviously the wrong call to trade him out. And sometimes people would suggest, oh, you have to live with it, but I don't think you do. I think you can, have him comfortably there. So we only have to find 164, which does, make it possible to trade out a Taruva or a Warbrick. Alamotti's a bit cheap, and that's okay. We'll wait for his price to spike again and get on later. So we just need to come up with an option to cash out one of these guys, I think. So whichever one we choose, I think will come down to probably break even. Taruva's is a bit high. He's playing South this week. Who have they got after that? Or the Tigers in New Zealand. And he doesn't play round 13. What about Warbrick? Is he playing 13? No, he's not either. But Warriors South. Sort of similar strength schedules as well. So maybe just Taruva. We've got enough flexibility with our fullback anyway, so that's not an issue. So we need someone that's under 250k, which there's not a lot on the table. So yeah, just looking through, Vega's out because Garrick's back in. Dunster's probably out because Simonson should be back in. You could carry like a Ben Travojevic or Williami for flexibility, but that's, not ideal. I guess maybe out of those two, Williami would have a decent break even. So if he does find his way back into the Warriors team, he could, bumping cash a bit. Um, but then after that, it's basically looking at these bottom dollar rookies, and then the question is, do we try to pick one who's going to potentially play later in the season? So, like for example, how far is Tafare off the first grade squad? Um, with the Bulldogs crisis, Jarrell Skelton could be a chance of a wing spot. I've probably got Declan Casey above him at the moment, given he was named in the extended bench for the Dogs. Um, Jack Howarth I've seen floating around on the extended bench for the Storm, I think, recently. If he's not, and I'm mistaken, he might actually be a good shout as an absolute dead rookie because he's got that flexibility with second row as well. Going down, yeah. So there's no real nice options. Maybe Sini. He's played a bit of first grade before. Don't know how he ended up bottom dollar. That's a good get. Um, yeah, so I wouldn't flare it with someone like a Max Fino, although he is a decent player if he's anything like his brother. But he has that extra bit of cash on him. So if I'm going to go a non-player, I'm going absolute bottom dollar. Yeah, Reese Hoffman maybe for the Dogs. The other option, as I just said, and this would mean that we'd have to go for Garrick rather than Miller, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Ruben Garrick. So then the fullback position, we might be able to get on Declan Casey. So if he does claim that other wing spot at the Dogs, 265, obviously only fullback at the moment, but plays the next few rounds. He gets DPP, centre wing, and then we can flick him around with these other guys. So could be an option. Obviously, picking someone after their first game is risky, but if we're going to pick a dead rookie, I'm willing to maybe spend up a little bit more and take the punt that he will get a few games. Given Carraz is out for 3, Addo Carr's still out for a couple months. Braden Burns, not sure what his go is. So that's the one I'll do have to look at. But even if Braden Burns is back, you'd imagine he'd be one wing, and there's a good chance Casey takes the other wing, and Ockenbaugh goes back into that, utility sort of role off the bench. But yeah, it remains to be seen. So, these are all just initial thoughts too. But if we were to do that, it does sort of really make our centre wing a bit nicer. So, Marzu, who, he's got a fairly high break even this week, 86, but I think Miller's is also quite up there. So I'm envisaging next week he could be a swap for Miller and have Miller, Garrick, Hammer, CNK. I'd be pretty happy with that centre wing for the time being. Tyrell Sloan is cover for buys. But yeah, Warbrick will get cashed out next week, I think, to help facilitate that trade. So obviously that uses the trade boost, which I think is our third for the season, but trade boosts are fine if you're upgrading. So obviously in this case, going 2 up, Garrick and Hammer is an upgrade, and then 1 down. So really what it'll come down to is team lists, who's named on the outside backs for the Dogs. Will sort of help make that decision. I don't think I'll go Ockenbaugh after watching his performance. He just sort of, doesn't look like he's much of a winger anymore. He's been practicing in the middle. I think that's where he's going to gravitate towards over time. So, and then in terms of how the team structures up, it's pretty hard to argue with what's already there. Hines against the Dogs means that he is an automatic target for the C. And then the VC is going to have to be, again, Murray or Payne Haas, perhaps, against Para. We'll have to have a think about that. Maybe just Murray. Actually, probably Payne Haas against Para. I'd tip him over Murray against the Panthers. But yeah, so something like that, I think. Oh, Dylan Brown. I forgot I had him. Maybe. Real sneaky shout. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that's how it's looking. Obviously not too great. Like I said, I think we need to start really loading up in the centre wing. It's been a bit of a tactical error this year, trying to go off past glories of the forward pack really being solid for base. You've got these guys like Marzu or Kiraz until now. Um, Even Garrick's pretty good for it. Lots of runs and involvements. But then, Garrick kicks goals. That's why we want Lockie Miller as well. Goal kicking fullback is prime in SuperCoach. Um, yeah, these guys are obviously heavily involved too. That's why we got them. And yeah, so I think that's how the team is going to sort of sit for the time being. We'll still have the stock market video coming up, and probably the preview, round eight preview. Look at trades. Decide on our final ones on Thursday. So yeah, if you are enjoying this content, please feel free to like the video, comment if you've got any suggestions of, obviously I need help, so feel free to offer your thoughts. Um, Subscribe to the channel for all the other content as well. I'll be recording the other videos very soon, getting them up over the next day or two. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next one.